Hey guys, and welcome back to the Citadel with me, Daniel M. Today we are bringing you the Swiss rounds from our local store tournament, which was a game night kit plus some extra prizes that I'd put together for it. We're going to start off in the second round because there were some issues with the first round and the video didn't work out. On the left hand side we have got Daisy, who we've seen from club games in the past, and on the right we've got Dan Gallagher, who you will have seen in our last store championships videos. Daisy is playing Lannister Dragon and Dan is playing Martel Rose. So Daisy's deck is relatively obvious. It's all the good Lannister cards plus Miri and some other Targaryen stuff like just earlier. Dan's deck is obviously Martel Rose, so it's the nice combo that we've seen on Thrones DB recently, which uses Arianne and just abuses her to drop in loads of 5-cost characters. So my imagining is what he really doesn't want to see is the mountain, because if a mountain starts pillaging off his deck with the number of 5-cost characters he's got, it's going to be painful for him. So straight into setup, Daisy has got quite a nice setup, 2 reducers, the Hound for a strong character, and Jura. I love Jura just for his setup capability because he gives you a 4 strength character who's just so easy to get multiple things out for setup. The Hound can be difficult because it can be difficult to finance him this early in the game when you don't have Tyrion. However, he's still a big character who you can use for defense, so for attack if you need him. Dan got out. I'm not going to go into trying to figure out whether it's left and right, so I'll call them Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and just mix the names around as and when we can. So we got the Knight of Flowers and Tweedledum, and he got a King's Road. So, like many people, I absolutely hate Tweedledee and Tweedledum, just because they're so irritating to play against. I saw someone playing against them with Martel the other day and stripping their icons, which is quite nice to see, but the fact that you actually have to use your icon stripping on them if you want to try and get any opposed, or if you want to try and force through a challenge, is so annoying. Especially in Dan G's deck, where he's got Song of Summer and various other things to just make them even stronger. And Tweedledee and Tweedledum out on the first turn. And Jute. Oh no, just put them. Oh, it's just the dupe of the original. Oh, thank God, that would have been irritating otherwise. Daisy's got out Tywin, so he's set up long term for economy and got a bodyguard on him. I like the inclusion of bodyguard in Lannister decks these days, especially with so much Martel around, making Tywin more vulnerable to tears because of the icon stripping. So I like that inclusion in this deck, especially, and then also in for the Greyjoy matchup, he's then got an attachment on him, which means he can't be removed from challenges using the Red and Long ships, which is quite nice. Duping up the Knight of Flowers, so getting lots of dupes. Oh, he has got Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They're just either side of the Knight of Flowers. So that is deeply irritating. While I think Daisy has obviously got the stronger board position because he's got the Tywin out, and he's got a Hound who is, while a cheat character, a very strong cheat character. I do think he's probably sat there kind of feeling a bit annoyed because that left-right combo is just so hard to deal with. Remembering that Dan does still have a King's Road there and has played the long plan, so he will have. He will have the chance to use that in the next round, along with the long plan money, to get out more impactful characters. So it looks like Dan's doing his challenges first, despite Daisy marshalling first. So I was a little bit confused about why that's happening. Unless Daisy.
Play 1. Tears the Hound.
Oh, so Dan tearsing the Hound. So what we've got here is just a chance of, is the Hound going to win a challenge to bounce back? We'll have to see if he can get him off the board now.
I'll leave it there.
Unless Daisy pass challenges, and then he's going to be stuck with Dead Hound.
That's cool. So any challenges?
Yep, so Daisy passed,
I get done.
just to play defensively, and then unfortunately Dan decided not to do any more challenges, so that there was no chance for the Hound to defend and win. So the Hound is now dead, something that's normally quite hard to do, but Dan's managed to pull it off, which is quite impressive. So, moving into the second round, Daisy looking at his hands. I can see a mountain there, which, as I said already, would be very strong in this matchup, unless Dan G gets out his
Bodyguard running.
Absolutely.
Nymeria, which completely invalidates the mountain. Unfortunately, because Daisy didn't do any challenges towards Dan, it meant that he didn't really lose any challenges except for that one with the Knight of Flowers against Tywin. So he doesn't have that much gold carrying over from the previous turn. He's confiscated Tywin's bodyguard. My imagining he's probably got a Tainted and Tears of List in his hand, or some other way that he probably wants to try and kill him.
Reduced by 1.
Let's see what Daisy's playing.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright.
I don't know what you're doing.
6, 7. There we go.
Paying
Yeah.
7, I'm assuming that's Miri.
Miri.
And he's got Miri out. So, at this point in time, I think, generically speaking, Miri is probably the better character to get on the board. She's got 2 icons, she's got that point and click kill. However, in this matchup, I think the Mountain is a very strong character to be able to get out. However, when you can get Tyrion out with Miri, that is very nice. So, I would, it's probably the right play there, because you've got 2 impactful characters out. You could have got the Mountain and Tyrion out, but I think he could have got Miri and the Mountain out, because he's still got 2 gold left over, which might have been a good call, because that chance of hitting a 5 cost character when you're playing Martel Rose is really, really key. Dan obviously had that Tainted in hand, so was probably going to play it on Tywin, but playing Miri out changed his mind, because he's got enough power icons out to be able to defend against Miri. Playing out a House Florent Knight and killing off one of Daisy's chuds. So this is one of the interesting things about this Martel Rose build, is it's not necessarily that aggressive with military icons, but it uses things like the House Florent Knight to just slowly whittle away at your board. I know he's got Tyene in the deck, and obviously quite a few tiers, so he's got enough kind of ways of just removing characters off the board that you do end up finding that your at least your key characters, if nothing else, whittled down quite effectively.
Once you've declared, I'll pay 1 and pay off the Knight of Flowers.
So that kneels in, does it?
Yeah, but you can pay a gold to stand him immediately if you want.
Okay.
So Daisy has paid off the Knight of Flowers from an intrigue challenge with Tyrion, forgetting to pick up his gold. I think probably so eager to do the paid off that he forgot the trigger. Dan does have a gold to stand him, but has chosen not to. I'm assuming it's because of that Tears of List that Daisy's just pulled. So after talking to Daisy about our tournament, it kind of sounds like throughout the day he just kind of drew everything he needed and just got incredible luck. So pulling that Tears of List was really key, I think, because it stopped Dan killing Miri this turn, which gives Daisy a chance to use confiscation if he wants next turn.
Left
and being able to kneel the Knight of Flowers has meant that Dan can't defend the challenge
I'll play this.
for Miri and win it.
Yeah. Good thing just to choose one to discard.
So Dan using Viper Eyes on Daisy's Grip, and I'm going to say he's got to get rid of the Mountain with his deck, despite the fact that Daisy's got a very nice hand there of the Mountain and Jamie, and I think a Hand's Judgment. He's got to get rid of the Mountain. Daisy is a classic one though, of showing you a hand full of just amazing cards and it being really hard to say which one to get rid of. Dan's gotten rid of Jamie. My imagining is that he's thinking that he can kill the mountain with the Tyrs or with Tyene. Jamie being harder to kill because he's got that intrigue icon. We'll see if the mountain does any work this game. If he does, it might have been the wrong call. Knowing the curve of this sort of deck, I would normally personally go for the mountain.
Dom is mine then? Yep.
So that paid off, was absolutely key in that matchup. And Daisy using Miri to kill off Tweedledee. So he's broken up the combo, which is very nice. This means that Dan doesn't have that automatic defense for every challenge just without even needing anything, which is good. It means he has to really think about whether he wants to defend a challenge or not, rather than just automatically making it go opposed. I wonder if Daisy will play Confiscation, but no, he plays a First Snow of Winter to looking at Dan's board. He doesn't have a huge number of impactful characters. He does have a Tweedle D duped up, so he will stay on the board, probably for Claim Slope, my imagining is, or Dan might play out Ariane this turn, if he can afford it, yeah, because he's got Counting Coffers, which is 2, plus the King's Road, so if he does draw Ariane, he'd be able to play her out this turn and drop someone back in for Claim Slope. Daisy has made Tywin that little bit safer by putting a Jeep on him after getting rid of that bodyguard in the previous round. Despite having discarded the Tears of Bliss from Dan's hand, you never know if he's going to have another one. So he's going to gift a Father Red. I imagine he's thinking about hoping to maybe get an Ariane, but I suppose that area hotel would be alright. The other cards aren't particularly effective for him. Daisy offering down a difficult choice there. Maybe a Duke for Tyrion, or a Burned Men would be amazing in this situation because that would give Daisy Claim Soak for the First Snow of Winter turn.
I have to admit, it's one of the cards I just sort of skimmed over.
Economy is needed.
And Dan taking Economy.
One of those cards I kind of skimmed over in the pack. I didn't really.
My imagining is that Economy is really going to help long term for if he does find Ariane to just keep bouncing her in and out.
Did you want to?
So I really like Gift of Father Red. I think it's quite good in Dan's deck because he is looking for key characters. My favourite use for it though, some of you might imagine, is probably just looking for Varys. So running a deck with 3 Varys, Gift of Father Red and maybe a Summons just means you're going to see multiple Varys in a game, hopefully get multiple resets off, keep the board nice and small. So Daisy doing First Snow and being left with a Miri, a duped Tyrion, I think, yeah, a duped Tyrion, a duped Tywin and Syrio. Jesus Christ, that is a impressive board state, and that's kind of what Daisy's deck does, and what it seems to do all day is just get really good impactful characters out and then First Snow. And it was just a case of play big dumb dudes and win. So let's see if Danji can put him in his place.
Stealthy Florent.
Okay.
Doing an entry challenge, stealthing the floor at night, getting the unopposed. I wonder if he'll remember the Tyrion trigger. He does remember the Tyrion trigger, that's good. So he's got 3 gold now. Get the unopposed power and let's see what he claims. Kneels, the nice flowers, unless Dan pays 2 gold, which he doesn't seem to be. Getting a bastard daughter, which is quite a nice pull, being able to claim her for entry challenge rather than having to kill her at a later date and losing a card out of your own hand.
I will power with Miri.
I think as Dan, I would have been tempted to, I suppose defending with the Knight of Flowers wouldn't have been enough.
Flame.
Oh yeah, do
I
that.
will replace the flame.
Wouldn't have been enough to defend against Miri, so letting Daisy kneel the Knight of Flowers. I wonder what he's hoping to do with that 2 gold otherwise. Maybe he's got a Vengeance for Elia in his hand, so he could have
Military.
replaced the claim, the
Unopposed?
Yep.
kill claim with Miri with a Vengeance, which would have been good, and claiming the Duke on the Knight of Flowers. So I'm not sure why he didn't do that. He could have played that Vengeance to stop Miri shenanigans. Would have meant that Daisy would have lost to Duke. I don't, yeah. Or maybe there's other reasons for doing it.
Storm's mine, yeah.
Yep.
Oh no, it wasn't a military, sorry. It would have mean that Daisy just had to take power off his own house card and put it back on, but it would have stopped him from killing the House Florent Knight. Which now puts Dan in a position where he's got a paid off Knight of Flowers and Tweedledee. So this is going to be a difficult situation to come back for him. Miri's done enough work now that
That might be coming out.
yeah, he's left in a difficult position. So the Wildfire, good call right now. Only having those two characters, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to get him back into this game. Especially as Daisy has knelt the Knight of Flowers with the filthy accusations.
I don't think it's that much of a surprise.
Daisy really liking the filthy accusations in his Lannister build, because it does give you that little bit of spot control on key turns, especially after a first snow. Lets you kneel out some of the key characters that seem to be left after first snow, and gives you another turn to apply pressure, especially when their hand is then full of chuds. So Daisy playing out the Cersei that he got given last turn, and playing out a small council chamber. So that means he's now got the combo going. Every time he wins a intrigue challenge with Cersei, he's going to get 2 claim, and he's going to get a power on that small council chamber, which while expensive, in this deck he seems to be able to afford it quite easily, because obviously Tywin, why else, and it's just slowly creeps up in power, and it gives Lannister that little bit extra kind of closing power for the end of the game.
No, but I just hate Gaston. Last time I played Bill, he saw all 3 Gastons. I had to play Murray 4 times in a game.
So Daisy, just commenting on the fact that Dan's got Gaston out, which with his board is not what you want to be seeing, and just talking about how in his previous game his opponent had seen 3 Gastons all game, and he played out Miri 4 times. The fact that he was able to play out Miri 4 times in a single game, it just testifies to the obscenity of the Lannister gold. So
Struggling here. No. Just
Dan only getting out 2 reducers, really seems to be struggling now.
Before I go anywhere.
How much you got now?
5.
Still got that mountain in his hand. Maybe he didn't realise how much work the mountain would be doing in this matchup, but one of our meta mates, Bill, who you've seen in previous videos, has been playing this deck, so you should know how many 5+ characters there are in this build.
You're not going to know yet. Okay. Well, I'll play Vengeance for Elliot. Have you played this one?
I will pay 2 and Hand's Judgment.
I will pay nothing.
And a nice little back and forth there. So doing the 2 claim challenge with Cersei, and then trying to Vengeance for Elliot. However, he should have known that Hand's Judgment was in Daisy's hand, because when he played Viper Eyes earlier in the game, that Hand's Judgment was still there and hasn't been discarded since then. So I'm not sure about playing that Vengeance there, and I suppose realistically that's the same reason maybe he didn't play it in the during the first snow turn, because he knew that Hand's Judgment was there.
Unopposed? Yeah, unopposed. Yeah.
So they Hand's Judgmented it, however what they didn't seem to do is actually do the intrigue claim there. So doing a power challenge with Miri, bouncing Miri back to Hound. I suppose as Daisy you probably don't really mind seeing that, because that has also taken as a tainted off Miri. So if you can go second in the next round, you can play Miri out without the attainted on her, which would be quite nice. Especially when he's got the sort of board dominance anyway. So forcing Dan to use it on Miri rather than potentially losing a dupe to Tywin or a dupe to Tyrion is not a bad situation to be in.
Claim to be a Jupiterian.
Okay.
Losing a military challenge, getting rid of the dupe on Tyrion.
Power.
Which one?
And Daisy just defending against a little chump power challenge. Moving on to standing. So Dan's stuck on 2 power to Daisy's 10. Got a summons, a close call, or a confiscation left. I'm wondering what he's going to play out here. He's playing the summons, so that gives him 6 gold. Plus 7 gold for the Rose Road, so if you wanted to, you could play Miri out again, but I'd maybe like to see him play out maybe a lower cost character to give him some claim, so he doesn't have to take that Tywin dupe. Oh, but he gets a dupe for Cersei, so if he could claim that Cersei dupe if he really wanted to. So Close Call is a card I really like the addition of. It gives you a card which I personally think is probably better than say Carnival or Westeros. However, it's not a good. I would say it's not necessarily a good opener because while you are going to get that card draw 99% of the time on the first turn, you can't move that character from the dead to discard pile. But for any deck that is reliant on either 1 or 2 key characters, like Tywin or Miri or even Arianne in this Martel build, it's
More icons.
it gives you a way to kind of come back if they get killed. And I'm hoping Daisy will play the dupe. Yeah, there we go. Not forgetting it. Playing out that dupe. Ooh. And playing out Jorah Mormont again.
Take 5. Yeah, the Blood Orange Grove.
Economy's creeping in now.
Yeah, so if we can hold on, but you're looking pretty strong. Reduced by 3.
There we go. Arianne has finally turned up for Dan. So hopefully that means he'll be able to do a few more shenanigans and be able to pull the game back now, because that gives him that kind of clutch character within his deck to just kind of abuse it. Removing the intrigue icon off Cersei, because obviously he needs to keep the cards in his hand if he wants to be able to pull this game back, and using the King's Road to drop Marjorie in because he knows that Daisy's played his first snow, so he's not going to have to deal with first snow again soon. So especially with the Knight of Flowers, if he can leave enough gold to be able to then make sure the Knight of Flowers doesn't get paid off, then we'll have a game in it. That Marjorie also is very hard to play against when you've got Miri. Miri becomes basically just a stick to just beat them with and force them to use the Marjorie on a challenge you care less about, because it's very unlikely you're going to win a challenge with her alone if Marjorie's out on the board, just because they boost the defensive strength beyond a point where Miri can really win. Especially with the Hound being dead, Daisy won't even be able to use the Hound trick to force through a Miri challenge. So that leaves him in an awkward position. But I think Daisy doesn't really need to worry too much about killing off Dan's board. I think what he really needs to do is just try and force through some power challenges and just kind of get that last 5 power that he needs.
I will intrigue. Tyrion. No stealth. Arianne. Okay. Make reaction. I get 2. Pose. Okay. Reaction to winning. You got it last turn.
Actually, remembering the small council chamber this time. I wonder if he'll remember the paid off.
So I just took the
Oh, is it? That's
Forgetting the paid off, so not kneeling the Knight of Flowers, which would have been really nice right now. I suppose if you remember one trigger, you might forget the other, but that's unfortunate.
Can't trigger that way if she's in game. Yeah. She has to be attacking alone, is that right?
yeah, she has to be attacking alone for her ability, so it's literally just a power challenge.
So doing a power challenge with Miri and Cersei, as I said, she just becomes a beat stick now, just to force through some power challenges. So I think using Miri in the right way now with Marjorie out on the board, you're not going to be able to win them with her.
I'll oppose it.
Yep. I win.
As an action, pop her to my hand, bring in, remove Miri from the challenge.
Okay, does it just remove her or does she stand?
She doesn't.
Yep, so Dan using his tricks, using Ariane to bring AGoT into the challenge to remove Miri so that he wins the power challenge, meaning that Daisy's not going to keep creeping ahead in power. So good stalling play there from Dan, using that AGoT quite effectively. It's a card I really like out of Martel. I think he's really useful.
Military for 10.
Yep.
Oh, a military for 10 with 2 goals. So this could be dangerous. We might see put to the sword. Because Dan can only defend. Oh no, he can defend for. He's defending for 5, so Daisy is still going to win by 5 or more. I might have been tempted to defend with Tweedledee as well. But no reactions, just getting the renown on Tywin and Jorah.
Okay, so military.
Yeah, that's what I was.
So this was the second game of the day, so this was just before our lunch break. However, if you ever do want to come down to Northampton to come play some games with us at our store tournaments, after lunch break we do, as the tournament organiser, break out a bunch of sweets, share them out over the table so that everyone can have some. So it's always a nice friendly atmosphere, and we always go for a drink afterwards, so come on down. Have some great games. We've got a decent meta. I think we've now got between 14 and 16 players. We've got a couple of people who've just joined us. Joined us from Conquest and joined us from Netrunner, and from a bunch of other games. We've got a really kind of good meta going, so come and join us. Daisy flipped the confiscation, and Dan saying, "You sure you don't want to confiscate that paid off?" But getting rid of that attainted off Cersei. I think Cersei is a difficult one in the current meta. I think Daisy plays 2 of her. And I think if you've got enough attachment control in Challenger attachment control, so the Rattleshirts Raiders, I think it's not too bad. However, the presence of Ward in the meta does make her a dangerous proposition, especially when you then be giving Stark a intrigue icon that is going to hit you for potentially 2 playing. So that's potentially quite dangerous. However, one of the I built a Cersei deck the other day. One of the ways that I counteracted the danger of Ward was putting in 3 Rattleshirts Raiders, because what that does is, while the Rattleshirts Raiders isn't necessarily a great card in and of itself, it's kind of crap in fact, what it does is it mitigates the difficulty of Ward in the meta. And I think having 3 of means you're definitely going to have it, probably get multiples of, and be able to control attachments mid-challenge. So as soon as they've stolen your character, win a military challenge against them, get your character right back. Which prevents any kind of march to the wall shenanigans in the next turn. So I think the just the presence of Ward in the meta has increased the value of Rattleshirts Raiders currently. So Daisy milking Marjorie, which is really nice, meaning that Miri is turned back on again. Doing an intrigue challenge, getting the money for it, just being opposed by Marjorie. Paying, using that Tears of Bliss to Tears the Knight of Flowers. So this is definitely putting Dan in a difficult position, because the Knight of Flowers was one of his last kind of key impactful characters. If he can kill another character, losing a house for at night on Hand's Judgment. So he could have Hand's Judgment, that Tears of Bliss, and I think that would have been a good call when you were going to be losing both those cards anyway. So there's a few things that have been missed, and I'd kind of like to know why Dan did them. If you're watching this, Dan, please comment below, let us know what your thinking was. Or if you see a particular reason in this video why you think you would have played it that way, just comment below. Also, please subscribe, you'll get notifications each Tuesday when we upload new videos as well.
And I will military.
I literally had 2 videos. Just keep pulling them out.
Doing a power challenge with Miri, which was then defended by Ariane and Resistance Scavenged. But doing a military challenge with Jorah and the Mountain. So we, again, if you didn't think he had a put to the sword last turn, you might think he would have it this turn, because that's military for 14. I suppose he's done it so that he can definitely win it, because that then puts him at 2 more power, so he would be on. That would win in the game. Yeah, because he's got the 2 power on the small council chamber. Again, as I said, just if you don't see it there, you can sometimes just slip from your eye. But he's got 8 on his house card, 3 on Tywin, 1 on Jorah, 2 on the chamber.
6, 12, 15. 15.
Yep.
Defending for 15.
No chance from
Dan said 15. I don't know why, because it was 2 from. Oh, close call. Song of Summer, increasing the strength of all his characters. Yes, so he was able to defend that and win it. But the Knight of Flowers obviously now dies.
Go put one back to your hand. The other one.
Yeah, because you put Jorah back. Because if you put him back, he'd got the last power. If you put him back, the mountain would have had his, and then I'd have still had. Well, I suppose depending on what you left.
Talking about whether he should have used Gaston Grey there to put the mountain back in hand, but
That's cool.
and they're just scooping it up because all Daisy would have had to do is a power challenge next turn to win the game. Talking about that Gaston Grey, maybe was a good call. I think I like the fact that Daisy left Tywin standing, so didn't try and lure it out. But what they kind of realised was even if you put the mountain or Jorah back in hand, he would have had to lose the challenge. The other one would have got the renown, and then cancelling out the power lost by putting a character back in hand. And he still would have only needed 1 next turn. Oh no, sorry, he won off dominance. Sorry. So yeah, Tywin got him that last power for dominance. So that's the first game of our store tournament, and there'll be 2 more coming up. You'll see Daisy a lot in the next couple of games, so you'll get to see this kind of Lannister dragon deck play it out a few times and see its different permutations and some of its good and bad matchups. So if you've got any comments for the players, just leave a comment below, and I'll see you next Tuesday, guys. Bye.